Yes. Hello, Hector. Thank you very much for inviting us to the Tijuana Synt-Con. That's very awesome to be at this in this channel and at this event. Um, we've been in a few virtual events this year. They are the way to go in this new change world. And it's just amazing for us, Robert and myself, to be presenting our format around the world through these virtual events, which is really, really cool. So thank you, Hector, for having us and for arranging everything and slotting us in. That's really, really appreciated. So this is a Zoom call that we're on, and the idea was that people would log into the Zoom call. So if you have received the link to the Zoom call because you registered to the event, please jump in so that you can ask questions directly. Otherwise, if you're looking at this through the stream, then Hector will have to go and read your comments in whichever platform you're looking at, and will have to direct the questions to us that way, which is a bit indirect, but we'll make it work. This is what this virtual format is all about, to just make it work and just have fun and yeah, learn something. So thanks everyone for watching. I want to present to you Robert from Tangible Waves, who has created this amazing new synthesizer format, the A modular system, about 4 years ago, which I dearly love, and I'm playing with it every day. And I'm making so much music and tutorials with it, and this system has changed my life. That's why it's really, really my pleasure to present to you Robert, and he will talk to you how this all started and how he had the idea to make this a modular format. And after that, I can show you the system that I have here in the background, and I can show you a few sounds that I can make with the system. But over to Robert.
Hello, I'm Robert. Carsten, thanks you for the introduction. Yeah, it's a totally amazing journey for me to be a synth manufacturer now. I started this A modular project about 4 years ago. Although I'm not completely new, or I were not completely new to modular synths 4 years ago, because I made a lot of this stuff at the age of 18, 19, 20, which is yeah, some years ago. You think you see my gray hairs, but I had a long break then. I think around 30 years where I was completely away from electronic music and modular synths and all this stuff. But I think it was around 5 or 6 years ago I discovered electronic music again for me. First, I was starting with all this digital software stuff. I was trying a lot of plugins and was totally blown away what is possible if you had a deep sleep for 30 years. The development is awesome what happened. But at the same time, I discovered that there is a huge interest came up for this old classic modular stuff, which was totally unexpected for me, because I thought, okay, nowadays everything can be done with computers, and this is fine. Yeah, in this time I started to organize an Ableton user group with a friend from my town in Munich. And when preparing these meetings, we were thinking about certain topics we can cover, and my friend came up with the idea we could talk about modular synths. Okay, it's not directly Ableton Live, but it's a actual topic in electronic music. So I said, yes, okay, we can do it. I know how this stuff works. And I knew from my first phase of this stuff, Dieter Döpfer, and I called him and asked him if he can borrow us a system with the basic modules, which was not a problem. And yeah, having this thing in my hand was the key experience to rediscover the amazing flavor of analog modular synths again. It was simply the experience plugging an oscillator into a filter, turning up the filter frequency, and I almost fell from the chair because the sound was so different to that what I heard from a lot of plugins and software synths. And suddenly I understood what people mean with that analog sounds better than this digital stuff, which I couldn't believe before. But this was really the key experience. Yeah, and after this, I started to build hardware again just for fun. I made some small circuits. It was just playing around a little bit and tried this and that. And in the end, I had at least an oscillator, a filter, a simple envelope, and plugged it together. And one day I brought it also to this Ableton user group, and people were talking to me, "Wow, this sounds good. You must make a product out of this." At this time, it was just a fun project for me. I had no plans to make a commercial thing out of it. And yeah, they suggested to me make a Kickstarter campaign with it. Unfortunately, at this time, I had a lot of free time because I had just finished a bigger software freelance project I had made the years before. And so I had the time to continue the development a bit more serious and to finish it. And so I went the way to make this Kickstarter campaign. This was end of 2017. And yeah, I put the Kickstarter campaign online and was curious if it works or not. I had no big expectations, but I gave it a try. And it was totally amazing. Within 4 days, the project was completely funded and was overfunded by 250% in the end after 4 weeks. Yeah, and by this I became a synth manufacturer now. And since these days, a lot has changed and developed in the system. My first idea was just to make a simple, let's call analog noise machine where I can take maybe some interesting samples and process them in a DAW. And I haven't seen it so much as a real full modular synth. But of course, people ask this and that, and in the end, it was clear it has to be a regular modular synth. Yeah, and so I started it, and in the meantime, we have around 50 different modules, and a lot of other ones are still in development, and it's really a nice growing thing. And I'm super happy that in the meantime we also have third-party developers that make also modules for this format. I have several cooperations with other guys who make modules for it. It seems to be a new modular format that grows serious slowly. Yeah. So far a few words about how it happened.
Thanks, Robert. So the history of the A module format is really unbelievable. I mean, how you changed a hobby project into a business now is really good because it did catch on, right? There are now so many people and that are using this format and discovering it for themselves. And from your experience, when you talk to your customers, what are the main reasons people are buying this format? Or what do you think, Robert?
Mm. I think the main reason is indeed still the price, because when I was looking at this modular scene some years ago, I saw a lot of interest of people in modular synths, but for the people that are interested in it, and the entry level, the entry price level was still too high for many of them, because for a Eurorack system you have to spend at least 2 or 3 thousand bucks, which is too much for many people just to give it a try and see if it fits for them. And from my background and from my experience, I know the basic electronic components are not the main price factor in a module. So my way to go was, I wanted to try to make everything around the bare components as simple and as cheap as possible. And yeah, this was the main goal for me. And it was not a goal from a commercial perspective. It was a personal goal to make things simple. It's something I like to do, make things as simple as possible. And yeah, I think this is the main point. The other point is the size, that it's much more compact than Eurorack, so you can have a lot of modules on much less space, which is also very appealing for many people. And for me too, I also like small stuff. Basically, I'm making my personal dream synth, and I'm super happy that it's not only my personal taste, but the taste of many other people too.
Yeah, and so when you started out, you were still doing a different job and doing this on the side, and was kind of a hobby project. But now you do this full time, right? So you can live from this. So Tangible Waves is now the thing, and it's growing.
Yes, absolutely. And this is really a great pleasure for me. I finally have the feeling this is really the thing I have to do in life. A bit late, but it's not too late.
Do you make music yourself with it in your free time, or if you have free time?
If I had free time, I would make more music with it. But indeed, the last years were really full with development and arranging all this production stuff, and to cope with all this growing on all ends, and to get room and space, to get people helping. In the beginning, I was making everything by myself, and now I have 2 employees, and all this has to grow, and it takes a lot of time. But I hope in the near future I have more time to make music again, because I like it. I also like playing live, and yeah, it would be wonderful to have this opportunity more in the future, and I think it will work.
So, as you said, when you started, you had only a handful of modules in the Kickstarter campaign, and now we're looking at the website shop, and there are over 50 modules. Sometimes, on the blog posts, there were like in December last year, you released almost 8 or 9 modules in one go, which was really amazing. How do you come up with these ideas? Do you look at existing UX modules, or what else is there, or do you really just design modules that you like? What's your process?
Mm, I would say it's a very unstructured process. It's things pop up in my head, and if I find it interesting, I just want to make it, and then I sit down and do the breadboarding or the PCB layout and go step by step. Sometimes I start a project or a new module, and it goes up to 30%, and something other comes in that is for me of a higher priority. And I finish this and then get back to the first one. It's a bit chaotic, but in the end, most things get get ready and get a module you can buy.
I'm looking at the chat window here on YouTube, and hello Malu. I hope I pronounced that correctly, M-A-L-U. And Malu is asking, Robert, what is your favorite module from all the 50 modules that you've designed? Which is the one that you kind of most like if you had to choose one over the others?
Yeah, my absolute favorite module is the Solina. I must say, this is a very personal module for me because in my first phase of electronic music a long time ago, I had one of these string machines. It was a Hohner string, and I love the sound, especially together when it runs through a phaser. It's a sound I could listen to it for hours. And I'm super happy to have this Solina sound now as a module. What's really nice, the second part, the phaser, is now also finished and will be added to the AE module palette now. So I have this wonderful sound I loved in the past time, and I still love it. This is my favorite.
I think I'm looking at the chat here. The Solina is really a favorite with many A modular people. So I think that actually attracts a lot of people to this format because it is really special, and the sound. I'm listening to a lot of A modular music, and the Solina features in almost every one now that is out there. So really well done, awesome. Look, that's the presentation of the history and the design process. I thought I would switch over to a live cam that goes to my system, the one that's here at the back. And we'll just kind of, for everyone who doesn't know about the A modular system, I'll just go over the different modules that are in there and just explain how they all, kind of hang together and the design philosophy of them. And then I do a little bit of a sound demo that I've prepared. So, and then, if you have any questions in the meantime, just put them in the chat, and I'll see if I can answer them. And if there's anything special, Robert, that you want to chime in, just kind of just chime in.
Yeah.
Okay, I will switch over to my webcam. Oh no, hang on, I have to share my screen. That's the way. Okay. So now you should be seeing a live representation of my system that I have here. It is a bit sluggish because it's going via Wi-Fi, but I hope we can cope. So when you see my hand here, that's a tiny bit behind. So this is all patched up. So you see all these wires. They're tiny wires. They're breadboard wires, but there are better breadboard wires than the ones that you know from breadboarding. These wires actually have gold-plated tips. So I just pick one of them and I show them closer to the camera here. So these tips, doesn't focus. So these tips are really, they fit into these sockets perfectly. So they do not fall out, and they have a perfect audio connection every single time. And the wires themselves are really floppy. So it's really, really nice to work with them. Much better than any breadboard wire that you've used before. So just the wires themselves are an incredible engineering feat that Robert has produced here.
Yeah, these are soft silicon wires, very, very flexible ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I had the early wires for the first year or so, and once I switched over to these silicon wires, that was like chalk and cheese, like day and night. There's no going back to the old ones, definitely. So in the A modular system, it is not UREC, so it is not immediately compatible. So you can't put a module into a UREC system without an adapter frame. But there is an adapter frame on the Tangible Waves website that you can buy, which gives you a row that you can slot into a UREC module and fit these A modular modules in. But to start with, it's a smaller format. So you can see that this module here at the very side is an oscillator. And it's a dual oscillator as well. So you have two separate pitchable and CD controllable oscillators in one really tiny module that is, what's that, Robert, 10 centimeters high?
10 centimeters, yes.
And 2.5 wide or something?
Yes, exactly.
So that's a really tiny space. Imagine that in UREC, yes, you have the Pico format from Erica Synths, maybe that's coming close to that, but most modules are much bigger. So here in my system, I have all my oscillators in this section right here. So I have a normal analog oscillators that are digitally controlled, so the pitch tracking is digitally controlled, but the sound is all analog. And I have another analog oscillator here, the VCO. Then I have the digital section. The Solvox is a kind of a digital, slightly detuned dual saw, which sounds amazing. And later on, you can hear how that sounds like in the demo. The Fmos is a FM oscillator. I think it has only the one algorithm, but you can change the multiplication and the depth of the modulation of one operator on the other one, and you can switch between sine waves. Yes? I think you have to look at the shared screen. Hector, so I'm sharing my screen, so maybe you have to switch something on your end. Might be a different window for you. That's really strange because Robert, can you see my screen?
Yes. It's the main display is the synth.
So you can see the synth, and if I put my pointer in there, you can see that moving.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a bit strange that Hector can't see that.
Hector can see that? Okay.
Okay, that's really strange. Let me just stop the share and start that again quickly. So, yeah, that's right. Were you? And so here I am sharing my screen. Is it working now? Good. Okay, perfect. Sorry, guys. That's just what happens when you just try these new things, the new world of virtual workshops and presentations, and everyone's learning how to use Zoom nowadays. So on YouTube, I still don't see the screen. That's... So Hector, when I look at YouTube, I still don't see the modular presented there that I'm screen sharing with you. Ah, okay. So let's try this one more time. Maybe it has to be in the foreground for me. Okay. I'll try this one more time. So stop and start. And Robert, you can see that I'm sharing the screen.
Yes, yes. For me, it works perfectly all the time.
Okay. I'm just waiting on YouTube for it to... Ah, there you go. Awesome. Perfect.
Great.
Okay, so we're back. Thanks, Hector, for figuring this out. That's awesome. Okay, so let's just quickly check the comments. Right. Okay, so we're back in business. Perfect. Okay, so the oscillator section. So we had the Fmos, which is a digital FM oscillator. It's just a pleasure to use. I'm using it often for bell-like sounds and drones and things. And then, of course, we have the beloved Solina module, and I will demo that just in a minute because I have to switch sounds. I have to switch that back and forth. So the Solina module is also a digital module. It's not an analog, but it can do so many things in that you change the root note, and then you can switch to different chords. It plays chords. It's very lush. And next to that is a very, should I say, a very interesting noise module, the Algodrome. Robert, just quickly, how did you come up with the idea of the Algodrome, which is a kind of a byte beat noise generating fractal exploration module? And I don't know, I use it a lot, but it's really strange. How did you come up with that idea?
I was just I was coming around this byte beat method of creating sounds. So this is basically a very simple line of code of a digital process. It's just one line of code with several operations, divisions, and multiplications, and blah blah blah, which is executed in a fast cycle at a certain sample rate. And it produces sounds that are between tonal and rhythmical, which I found very interesting. And there are several online tools where you can check this in your browser. And I thought, okay, I must make a module out of this or for this. So I collected or made by myself a lot of interesting algorithms and put it into this module.
Exactly. So, and that's just, you never know what's coming out of it, really. Just kind of dial through the different algorithms, and even one algorithm can keep you up for hours, because if you change just the frequency or the parameters, each individual algorithm, and there are over 40, I think, in there, and each algorithm changes its characteristic depending on the frequency. It's just an incredible, weird module. Next to that, we have the wavetables module. Now, this is fairly new, and it is a collaboration between Tangible Waves, also Robert, and Paula Maddox from Dove Audio. And this is a digital wavetable oscillator with a number of wavetables. I think there are 7 different wavetables in here. And it allows you to scan through the table, just like a normal wavetable oscillator. You can scan through them, change the table, and it's incredible sounding. Robert, just tell me a little bit, how did you come up with that idea to collaborate with Paula on this module?
This was not my idea. I didn't knew Paula before really, but she contacted me and was interested in this tiny format, and I sent over a system, and I got the suggestion if I would make a module based on her designs. And I was really happy about this, because this is I would say a really one of the high-end A modular modules, because it works with 16-bit audio and good analog digital analog converters, and yeah, it sounds excellent, has perfect tracking and so on. And it was a great fun to work with Paula. And it should be not the last one. We are already discussing the next collaboration module based on.
Okay, spoiler alert. So I just have to say, for people who don't know Paula Maddox was one of the founders of Modal Electronics, and you probably have heard about Modal, and the first few synths were pretty groundbreaking and awesome, and she was the main engineer and designer of those early synthesizers of Modal Electronics. She's no longer associated with that company, but definitely a founding member, and definitely deserves fame in the synth world for that alone. Right next to this, we have the very first completely independent third-party module that was made for the A modular, and this is the matrix mixer from Wonky Stuff. Wonky Stuff is a guy in England, and he has awesome ideas. He just goes right in and just does it. And this is the first module. And he has another module out this month, which hasn't arrived in Australia at my place yet. But he's on the run. He's creating more and more of these modules. To the right of the matrix mixer, you have the filter section in my system. And there are a number of different filter types that are available for the A modular system. The first one you see here is a Steiner type Nile filter, which is interesting in that it has a built-in mixer for the low pass, band pass, and high pass routes. So you can put in 3 different signals and assign each one to the different bands, and then they all get assigned the cutoff frequency and resonance as they come out. So very interesting, very wild filter. If you look at my YouTube channel, I have a few videos where I'm presenting the Nile filter and playing with it. It screams, it sings, it's lush. It's an amazing filter. Right next to it, we have the MS-20 filter. So here's an older model, which has only a low pass output. And then the newer version that you can buy now has a low pass and a high pass output, just like the MS-20, the filter on the Korg MS-20. I'm actually not using this much for filter sounds. I'm actually using it much more to get a really nice sine wave out of it when I put it in self-resonance mode, which is really interesting. And I'm using that a lot for theremin effects or bell-like sounds. But next to that, there's a state variable filter, also very nice, especially the bandpass and high pass filter modes. And after that, we have the Wasp filters. So that filter has gone through a few versions, and it is a very nice filter, emulating the filter from the original Wasp. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail about everything else, but as you can see, there are 50 modules all up, and we have a lot of modulation options. There are a dual LFO section here. So this is a dual LFO, dual envelopes. The envelopes are completely CV controlled. There's now an ADSR envelope as well that exists. You can see that here. There are various mixer types, attenuation mixers, normal mixers. A quantizer is one of the newer modules, which is really good, makes me sound better because I have no idea what to do with pitch tracking. There are various sequencing options. There's a 16-step sequencer and a newer 8-step sequencer as well. What's really, really cool is the multi-FX module here at the top, which gives you many different effects, digital effects that's modeled after the Spin FV1 chip. It's very, very high, high quality sounding reverbs and ping pong delays and things like that in here. And then at the top here, you have my rhythm section. So I have various trigger modules. So this is a trigger step sequencer of 4 channels of 16 steps that I can select. This is a clone of the Mutable Instruments grids. The topograph is a topographic grid sequencer. A beat divider, which I love because it's rotating. It can rotate around, which makes crazy variations of your drum sounds. And then you have a kick module, an analog kick, and a digital lo-fi drum kit. So as you can see, with this modular format, there's basically everything there that you would need to do a set or an album. And in fact, we do have an album or 2 albums actually created in the A Modular community. You can check them out. You can see a link to that on the Tangible Waves website. The new album has just been released last month. It features 26 tracks of pure A modular sounds, so you can listen to yourself how the system sounds. So I don't see any more questions. So without further ado, I just go through and switch over my audio to the system, and I go through a little bit of a demo of the different sounds. Hector, is that okay? Okay, so I will just change the screen. So going to Okay, so not sure if you can hear my voice. I'm putting in a microphone that's connected to my mixer now. So, Robert, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so this was a short demonstration of various things that are attached here. So just going through how this patch kind of worked. So let's go, the last sound that you heard was the Solina. So that is this one here. And you saw that by just turning the chord knob, I changed the chords. I could have changed the root note as well, but sometimes it's much easier to just go through the scales of chords than the root note, because that kind of, if it fits, it fits. You could also hear the Algodrome module. So this algorithm actually sounds best if you scan through the frequency, which I'm doing here. So I have a CV that's driven by an LFO that's going through a CV attenuator. So it's only a tiny variation, and creating this scanning sound, this kind of science fiction sound. I'm also using the drum kit, the analog kick and the drum kits for the rhythm section. That's the analog kick, and this is the drum kit, and I can also switch in a clap and a digital bass drum. And as you can see here, the multi-mode divider, if you rotate it around, you get different drum patterns. Which is really cool for variations. At the top, I have this voice here, which is just an oscillator that's going through the Nile filter. And the sequence is coming from the sequencer 8 here. And I have another voice here that's another oscillator just below that, which is a bit higher pitched, and it's going through the Wasp filter. And you can hear the very interesting sound variations that the Wasp filter makes on those sounds. There's also a Sawvox that I'm using, and that's this sound. And you can hear how fat that sound is. So the technique that I'm using for the Sawvox is an interesting one that I just learned last weekend from a friend. So I'm taking the output of the sequencer and I'm putting it into a sample and hold, and I'm using different triggers for my Trick 164 to sample different steps of the sequence and putting that pitch to the Sawvox. So I'm getting slightly different notes that are being sent to the Sawvox then going into the main sequence, but they are all related. And I can change. Change which sounds are sampled by just clicking, putting different steps in here. And then the last bit that I had was the wavetables. And here I'm just using that as a kind of a bell-like sound, a very dull bell. Wavetables makes all these crazy, beautiful noises. So this is basically the different modules, how they fit together, and a little patch that I made up yesterday. And yeah, if there are any questions, please let me know. I'm switching over to the normal video and the normal sound, and then we just wrap this up. So let me just quickly stop the share and swap the sound. Okay, so now you should hear me through the webcam, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I hope you enjoyed that little performance and the overview of the different sounds and how that all works together. At 3 p.m. Pacific time, so the Tijuana time, is a workshop. I hope that people will join me via Zoom on this, because we will start with a complete empty synth, which is what you see behind me, no patch cables at all, and I want to work with you on a patch. So you tell me where to put the patch leads and what to do, and I'll be the hands. So I would really hope that a few people will join the Zoom call directly. If not, don't worry. I will, work with whoever comes in. If it's just one person or two, it doesn't matter. I love doing this stuff. I can also do a patch session from scratch as well if no one joins, and you can see that at your own leisure. So as parting words, I must say I never made music in my life. I always wanted to, and never found the right instrument until I found the A modular system. And working with Robert and getting the system in my hands has really changed my life, because now I'm making videos on YouTube. I have a lot of friends globally that I communicate about music, and I'm presenting things live. I'm a live musician, which I never thought possible before, and it's such a joy to be working with this. And there's a great community out there. The forum at forum.amodular.com is full of incredible, talented people, and it's a good vibe. Anyone can just come in there, beginners or old hands, and just ask questions or post ideas. It's a very, very welcoming, friendly community. We work together on albums. We work together on on finding different techniques, supporting each other to become musicians and just doing the things that we love. So please join the forum and ask me anything. And Robert, do you have any parting words before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I want to say a big thank you for you, to you, Carsten, first for your great demo and for your tremendous work you put into this A modular project. Because without you, me alone, I couldn't have bring it so far as it is. Because your expertise in all this forum building and social media stuff, it's so super helpful. And this is what reflects also in the community, which is so beautiful to see how people share their experiences, and it's such an important part of the whole thing. Make things together, and nowadays it's so easy via this media we have to share this wonderful kind of creating stuff. Thanks a lot.
Right, and thank you so much to Hector, who invited both of us to be part of the very first virtual Tijuana Synt-Con. We met at Synth Booth, which was the very first virtual, I don't even know how to say it, synth event that Robert and I participated in. We were at Super Booth last year, which was incredible fun. Unfortunately, we couldn't do that this year, but Synth Booth was great. We met Hector there, and he invited us to this event. So yeah, cheers, Hector, for pulling this off. Incredible effort, and really, really love what you're doing, and really happy to be here and talking to your community over there. So thanks, Hector. I think you're muted if you do want to say anything. But if not, that's cool too. We just chat at the next workshop. Okay. I think that's about it. Hector, if you want to wrap this up, I think we're ready to go. Okay, thank you. See ya.
Bye.